Thanks a lot for that. It's a pleasure to welcome Viswanathan Anand, former 5-time world chess champion, joining us live and exclusively on Praggnanandhaa's feat of setting a final date later this evening with none other than world number 1 Magnus Carlsen in the World Cup. Vishy, Praggnanandhaa was not even born when you won your first world chess title. In fact, your last one came in 2002 and he's only 18 years old. It must be a pleasure watching him follow in your footsteps.
Yes, it is. Okay, just to clear up some confusion. The World Cup that I won in 2002 was a special kind of tournament. It was no longer the World Championship.
Yes.
And I won World Championships
2007.
In 7, 8, 10 and 12.
Yes.
And this World Cup as well is a qualification for the candidates from where you qualify for the World Championship.
Yes.
But nonetheless, it's a historic achievement. He is the first Indian to qualify for a World Cup semi-final after I did so.
Since you, yes.
He is, and by the way, Gukesh was the first Indian to come above me in the rating list after 37 years. And now, if Praggnanandhaa wins the World Cup against Magnus Carlsen, well, that improves his record even greater. He is also playing the candidates, and he will be the first Indian after me to play in the candidates. So three of my records have disappeared in one tournament. I don't know how bizarre is that. But he has beaten the world number 2, Caruana, the world number 3, Nakamura.
Yes.
I mean, they basically interchanged their spots during this World Cup. So two of the best players in history, amazing career records and so on. And he's now going to play Magnus Carlsen. And by a quirk, this World Cup, because it's happening, it's a knockout format event. This is the only event that Magnus Carlsen has never won.
Yes. This is his first final too.
It's his first final too, and he's also trying to win this World Cup for the first time.
Yes.
So, ironically, Praggnanandhaa is going to play a very, very motivated Carlsen, because Carlsen is now going to keep waiting for these World Cups to turn up. Yes. He is, after multiple years, he's at the final, and that's why so much excitement.
There is already a lot of talk about this final, particularly because Praggnanandhaa has beaten Magnus Carlsen in previous events, and actually that's how he shot to fame in India as well. But before I get to that, after his semi-final win last evening, Praggnanandhaa talked about how it's his defensive skills that have been saving him. He almost said that, he's been on the verge of losing a lot of these games, but somehow he sticks it out. What have you made of his journey so far and his chances in the final?
Look, chess is like many sports. You don't win only by the great moves. You win by the games you don't lose. Every half point plucked here and there adds to your score. So Praggnanandhaa has done an amazing job. I would go further. Since June this year, he has played 3 events. He's played the Global Chess League, he played a tournament in Hungary, and now he's playing the FIDE World Cup. In all 3 events, he's playing unlike the Praggnanandhaa even of that we knew before, who was already one of the world's best juniors and one of the world's most promising talents. But in these 3 tournaments, he's raised his level enormously. But Carlsen is playing at one of his best levels too, so it's going to be challenging. Now, Praggnanandhaa needed to rely on his defensive skills a lot against Caruana yesterday, because Caruana is one of the best players in the world, one of the best prepared players in the world, in openings especially. So Prag had to survive a lot of difficult positions, but he's been much more all-round. He beat Arjun, he beat some other players in the World Cup with his attacking skills. So he's been drawing from multiple skills as well. But he will be sorely tested by Carlsen, make no doubt about it.
Do you think some of his previous wins against Carlsen will make a difference, mentally at least, for this 18-year-old? Because this is a humongous stage for him. The first final he's made. In fact, a measure of his growth is from the fact that in the last World Cup, he was eliminated in the 4th round. And this time he's beaten the world number 2 and 3 en route to setting the date with the world number 1. Do you think it would help him that he has faced Magnus Carlsen multiple times before and has actually won against him, even though this would be a different stage?
Yes, it would help a lot. Definitely, knowing that somebody has resigned against you once, that you've done it once, you know that it's possible. A lot of people, when they play Magnus, they're not even sure what is possible. But um, he knows that he can do it, but equally he knows how strong Magnus is. So, but that's something to draw from. I've done this before. When an opportunity arises, I've punished him before. And as much as Prag knows it, I think Magnus knows it as well. So his Magnus will be just a little bit wary thanks to those wins. These things always help.
Yes, actually Magnus Carlsen said after one of Praggnanandhaa's previous victories that we all want to be like him. So this young 18-year-old boy has a lot of fans even amongst his peers, if I can call them that. Just the journey that Praggnanandhaa has had is enormous.
Yes, very much. He has a lot of fans, and somehow people like calling him Prag, and they like looking at that name and thinking, what's going on here? I can add that there was a joke that he's a new Indian, but he's still got Anand in his name.
Oh.
But anyway, he's actually very popular. He has many fans, and most of the top players think of him very warmly as well. On top of that, you only have to see his mother and his sister, and you root for the whole family. It's very touching.
Absolutely. Anand, I did want to touch upon the fact that you talked about Magnus Carlsen, that you've punished him in the past, but you did lose your World Chess Championship title to Magnus Carlsen. Have you first of all spoken to Prag at all and shared any tips or any kinds of words of encouragement?
We have discussed Carlsen on multiple occasions, of course.
Yeah.
But I haven't been talking to him much during this World Cup. When I was in Baku, I spoke to him a few times. But mostly, a chess player at this moment is in their own bubble. And I'm not sure what it would do to him. And by the way, it's not like his journey here was predestined. So in every match, I thought, my God, he must be nervous. I'm not going to get close. I think he has a support system. He depends on his mother and perhaps his sister to say the right things at the right time. If he reaches out to me, of course, I'll help him. But he's very focused, and I respect that right now.
Yes.
But through, even in our time at the West Praggnanandhaa Academy, I've interacted with them a lot, given them a lot of tips. But this is not the time to butt in.
I understand that. I do want to ask you, this is not just about what happens between the years or on the 64 squares. When you're playing such championships, it's a lot else that also matters. From your experience, what is that one thing that is truly crucial for somebody in Praggnanandhaa's shoes tonight, apart from his game?
Praggnanandhaa's level is high enough, and right now it's very high. So if you don't take his actual rating, but his performance rating, the clip he's performing at, it's much higher. And therefore, the difference between him and Magnus is not purely technical. I mean, certainly Magnus has great technical skills. The difference will be mental. Can he be tenacious like he has shown before? Can he take opportunities when they come up? Can he simply sit there and make good moves, one after the other, without his judgment wavering? It will be mental. What happens today and tomorrow will be mental. It won't be their chess abilities. Both of them, it's high enough.
Yes. So how did someone like you prepare? Just give us an idea what really transpires in your mind, what your routine is like before a big final like this. Maybe, I'm sure every chess player would be a little bit different too, but maybe that will give us a bit of an idea of how you prepare.
It's a lot of visualization. You're constantly thinking, where will he strike? What will he do? If I was sitting in his room right now and looking at my games, what would I aim at? You're trying to anticipate moves. You're trying to anticipate situations. You may also think, if we unexpectedly stumble on this, can I cope with the challenges? Will he be able to cope? Will I be able to cope? There's a lot of visualization going on, but equally you want to relive your past experiences in this situation and think, what are the things that went wrong? What are the things right? How do I close that gap? It's a lot of that. It's a lot of fretting and trying to guess. Because, if you guess correctly, that's 50% of the journey.
Yes. Could nerves be an issue because of the fact that, Prag is younger and less experienced than Magnus Carlsen, certainly as far as the stage is concerned?
nerves are always decisive at a stage like this. Also, remember, both of them want this very badly. Uh,
Yes.
and they waited a long time for it. And I think, in fact, that is slightly harder for Magnus because he has missed the opportunity more often.
Yes.
So when he gets there, he really doesn't want to miss this time. And nerves will play an important part. In fact, there will be several mistakes. It's normal. Under the tension, both of them will wilt. There will be several mistakes and so on. But can you keep control after those mistakes? That will be the key.
In some ways, could it also be beneficial for Praggnanandhaa that he's kind of the challenger here and the underdog?
Yes, I think he is clearly the underdog. And just like Caruana yesterday and the last 2 days, I expect his weakest area relative to them will be opening preparation. So he'll have to survive the opening, get into a position that he wants to play. The opening is where you decide what kind of game you're going to try and reach. He'll have to survive that phase. But if he does that, he's halfway there, and then he has the chance to play well. But, it's mental, it's physical. Can he take 5 or 6 hours of hard work, hard calculation? Can he stand the strain of this big title? Again, big titles put a pressure on you. The closer you are, the harder it gets, because it's easier for you to think, oh, I've reached, and then your attention flags. Never letting that thought come in. All these will be a big test against him on one of the biggest stages against a very big opponent.
I do want to ask you, regardless of what happens in this final, of course, all of us, I think 1 billion people are rooting for Praggnanandhaa. He has already kind of achieved one important goal, which is, as you mentioned, playing in the Candidates 2024 to be the challenger to Lurin. Just how important is that, you think?
The Candidates is actually the goal of the World Cup. I mean, people play the World Cup to qualify for the Candidates. Carlsen is playing the World Cup because he has never won a knockout tournament. Slightly different motivation.
Yes.
But the Candidates is important because if you play in the Candidates, and that's a difficulty all its own, and if you can win that, then you get to play the World Championship. So for Prag, those are the more important goals. However, he is getting the chance to play a highly motivated opponent at a very, very big, on a very, very big stage. That kind of practice is very hard to organize. So he's getting the biggest chance at the kind of experience he will face in those tournaments. So today is even a dress rehearsal for him.
Absolutely.
He's already qualified for the Candidate. Sure, he doesn't need to win today. But this is a dry run like nothing else.
Vishy, how does it feel to have somebody like Prag kind of become the new face of Indian chess? That too at a very young age. I think since your last World Chess Championship title, we've had a bit of a lull. And now suddenly there's a lot of excitement because of Praggnanandhaa. And there's almost a revival in the interest in Indian chess. Do you feel so?
Yes, many things have come together at the same time. Chess boomed everywhere during the pandemic. It turned out the Queen's Gambit, the pandemic, mobile phones, all these things kind of worked very well for chess. But on top of that, Indian chess has had a lot of good grandmasters for a long time. Many of them were coaching youngsters. And then finally we got this group of youngsters who are all basically under the age of 20. And suddenly, right now, they're all in the top 50. Prag, I think, is currently in the top 30.
Yes.
Gukesh is even number 7. And what this means is that the future is incredibly bright. We have a situation where for the next decade, maybe decade and a half, the probability of one Indian in almost every top event in chess is almost a certainty. And that's a luxury because it gives Indian fans something to watch and follow, which drives the interest in the sport a lot. I'm also very happy that Prag, Gukesh, Nihal are all fellows in my academy, the Westbridge Anand Chess Academy. So that's an extra connection for me. But yes, we now have a golden generation.
All right, golden generation to look forward to. I'm going to leave you at that, but Vishy, final question, and maybe you can give us a slightly detailed answer, as detailed as you want to do. What are your predictions for the final tonight? There are going to be two classical games. Do you see this finishing in with those or going forward? Your predictions for the final?
Okay, I mentioned earlier that relative to the players like Hikaru and Fabiano and Magnus, the biggest disadvantage would be in the opening. Nonetheless, Prag's openings have held up. They've been battle tested. So hopefully he will survive today. However, Magnus is very, very cunning in the openings. He's quite famous for this. And Magnus then has an obvious chance to finish the match in the classical game. So he will try. At the same time, 2-game matches, you don't want to take too much risk. So Magnus will try, but he will not be desperately trying because he doesn't want a situation where he backfires because it's very difficult to come back. So Praggnanandhaa will be under considerable pressure today and tomorrow. However, let's put it this way. Magnus is the favorite in every format. He's the favorite in every part of the game. There is no doubt here. Though Pragg has beaten him in rapid games,
yes,
Magnus's record in rapid chess is insane. So Magnus has no reason to pick this or that. He's just going to try everywhere. Pragg will have this problem that the test never ends. If he survives the classical rapid, and that's equally hard. You survive the rapid, you go to blitz. Well, Magnus is even more amazing in blitz. And so he's going to be tested in everything. In a way, for Pragg, he's entering a tunnel now. And he'll just have to take it with all the enthusiasm and courage that he has and just face it. But I think looking at his demeanor and his his press conferences so far, I think he's taking this in the right attitude. Like,
yes,
this is the most amazing learning opportunity and why shouldn't I enjoy it? So that itself makes me slightly optimistic that Pragg will endure, but we'll see.
Well, may the force be with him. And as you said, there's Anand in his name. May your force be with him as well. And hopefully he'll get through and it will be a great celebration for India. Vishy, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll look forward to speaking to you again post the final.
Thank you.